My name is Ethan Foster, and I want to share with you a story that turned my life upside down. I was born and raised in a small town in North Carolina, where everyone knows each other and loves to stick their nose into other people's business. But I never thought that my personal life would become public knowledge and the subject of legal proceedings. I met my future wife, Olivia, in college. She was studying marketing, and I was in business management. We instantly liked each other and started dating. Olivia was a smart, beautiful, and ambitious girl who dreamed of a career in a big company. I wanted to start my own business and become a successful entrepreneur. After graduating from college, we got married and moved to my hometown. With our wedding money, I opened a small sporting goods store, and Olivia got a job at a local advertising agency. We were young, full of energy, and had big plans for the future. Gradually, our business began to grow and bring in good profits. We opened several more stores in neighboring towns and expanded our product range. Olivia actively helped me with the work. She was engaged in marketing, advertising, and public relations. She became an indispensable employee and partner, without whom I could not imagine our company. We were not only a successful business couple, but also happy spouses. Of course, we had small quarrels and disagreements, but we always found a compromise and supported each other. I thought we would be together for life, because we had been through so much and achieved so much. But fate had other plans. One fine day, I decided to hire a new sales manager to increase the company's turnover. The choice fell on a young and promising specialist named Sebastian Morales. He sent an impressive resume and brilliantly passed the interview. I was sure that with his help, we would take the business to a new level. When Sebastian started working, I noticed that he immediately began to show signs of attention to Olivia. He constantly sought her company, joked and flirted with her. My wife also showed interest in him, laughed at his jokes, and had long conversations about work issues. This made me a little wary, but I pushed away bad thoughts, believing that Olivia and I had a strong marriage that would not be destroyed by any third parties. Months passed, and our business was thriving. Sales were growing, customers were satisfied, and employees were motivated and loyal. Sebastian met my expectations and proved to be a brilliant manager who knew how to approach people and persuade them. He became my right-hand man and chief advisor on all issues. But the more time Sebastian spent in our company, the more Olivia changed. She began to stay late at work, citing urgent matters and important meetings. Coming home, she seemed tired and distracted, often sitting on the phone and smiling at her own thoughts. Our communication was reduced to a minimum. We hardly talked or made love. I felt that Olivia was distancing herself from me, but I attributed it to stress and a heavy workload. I myself spent a lot of time in the office and in business negotiations, so I could understand her state. However, soon alarming signs began to appear that I could no longer ignore. One day, I accidentally saw Olivia gently adjusting Sebastian's tie and looking into his eyes with a misty gaze. Another time, I heard them whispering and giggling in an empty conference room, thinking no one could see them. Then I began to notice traces of someone else's kisses and hickeys on my wife's body, which she tried in vain to hide under her clothes. I was tormented by vague doubts and suspicions. I didn't want to believe that Olivia was capable of cheating, but the facts spoke for themselves. She became secretive, cold, and irritable, avoiding my touches and questions. Sebastian, on the other hand, exuded complacency and confidence, throwing mocking glances at me. I decided to have a frank conversation with my wife and find out what was happening in our family. But when I started this conversation, Olivia exploded and accused me of paranoia and distrust. She shouted that I was destroying our marriage with my suspicion, and that there was nothing between her and Sebastian except a working relationship. Her words sounded fake, but I wanted to believe her so much that I preferred to turn a blind eye to everything. A couple of days later, I accidentally discovered a love note from Sebastian in Olivia's jacket pocket. In it, he confessed his feelings to her, admired her beauty and mind, and also hinted at some joint plans of theirs. Reading these lines, I felt like the ground was slipping from under my feet. My wife, my beloved woman, was cheating on me with my own employee. I was so depressed and confused that I didn't know what to do next. I wanted to grab Olivia and shake her until she confessed everything and asked for forgiveness. But deep down, I understood that it would not change anything. Our marriage could no longer be saved, trust was destroyed, and love had turned to ashes. That same day, I decided to fire Olivia from our company, so as not to see her traitorous face and not work side by side with her lover. I called her into my office and coldly informed her that she no longer worked here and could take her things. Olivia turned pale and tried to object, but I cut her off mid-sentence and pointed to the door. My next step was to contact a family law attorney. I firmly decided to divorce my unfaithful wife and start a new life without her. The lawyer explained to me that in North Carolina, there is a law on alienation of affection, according to which a deceived husband can sue his wife's lover and demand compensation for the moral and material damage caused. This news was a real revelation to me. It turns out that I can not only get rid of my traitorous wife, but also punish her accomplice who destroyed our family. After some reflection, I decided to exercise my right and filed a lawsuit against Sebastian, accusing him of stealing Olivia and demanding a large sum in compensation. Olivia was shocked by my action. She begged me to withdraw the statement and not to wash our dirty linen in public, promised to break up with Sebastian, and pleaded for forgiveness. But I was adamant. She had hurt me too deeply with her infidelity, disappointed me too much as a woman and partner. I told her that I was filing for divorce and would sue her lover until I won. After Olivia left, our business began to experience hard times. Having lost a key employee and concurrently my wife, the company began to lose customers and profits. I had to work for two, trying to keep the business afloat and not let it fall apart. And then there was a protracted trial that required time, effort, and nerves. I began to stay in the office late into the night, forgetting to eat and sleep. My health deteriorated, my mood dropped to zero. The only thing that supported me was the thought that soon Sebastian would pay for his sins and I would be able to restore justice. This goal became an obsessive idea for me, the meaning of my whole life. Court hearings on the alienation of affection case began 2 months after the lawsuit was filed. All this time, my lawyer, Megan Reed, and I were preparing for the process, collecting evidence of Olivia's infidelity, interviewing witnesses, and drawing up an action plan. I was determined and was not going to lose this fight. On the first day of the trial, the courtroom was packed. It seemed that the whole of our town had come to gawk at the scandalous process and savor the details of my personal drama. Olivia sat in the dock next to Sebastian, expressing remorse and humility with her whole appearance. She threw pleading glances at me, but I tried not to look in her direction. My lawyer delivered an accusatory speech in which she described in detail the story of Olivia's infidelity and its consequences for our family and business. She presented irrefutable evidence of Sebastian's guilt, love letters, photos of secret dates, and witness statements. The jury listened attentively and made notes in their notebooks. When it was the defense's turn, Sebastian suddenly declared that he did not admit his guilt in stealing someone else's wife. He said that he sincerely fell in love with Olivia and did not intend to destroy our family, but only wanted to be with his beloved woman. His words sounded false and unconvincing, but Olivia looked at him with adoration and nodded in agreement. During the process, unexpected details of the romance between my wife and her lover emerged. It turned out that they had been dating for over 6 months, from the very day Sebastian came to work for our company. They had joint trips, secret nights in hotels, passionate declarations of love. And I, the naive fool, noticed nothing and continued to trust my wife. But the most shocking thing was that Olivia and Sebastian were planning to run away together and start a new life somewhere far from our town. They dreamed of starting their own business with the money they secretly withdrew from our company and being happy together. And they were going to leave me with nothing, without a wife, without money, without a future. When I heard all this, I felt so hurt and disgusted that I wanted to scream. I could not believe that the woman I loved more than life was capable of such betrayal and meanness. It seemed to me that I knew Olivia like the back of my hand, but in reality, she was a stranger with a double bottom and a dark soul. The trial lasted almost a month. Megan and I presented more and more evidence of Sebastian's guilt, but he stubbornly refused to admit his responsibility for the ruined marriage. Olivia behaved quietly and dejectedly, only occasionally sobbing and wiping away tears. I tried not to pay attention to her, fully focusing on the fight with her lover. Finally, on the last day of the hearings, the judge retired to the deliberation room to make a decision. These were the longest and most excruciating minutes of my life. I was on pins and needles, unable to find a place for myself from excitement and tension. Olivia threw pleading glances at me, but I carefully avoided meeting her eyes. When the judge read out the jury's verdict, I felt incredible relief and a sense of deep satisfaction. My offender, Sebastian Morales, was found guilty of alienation of affection and sentenced to pay $8.8 million in compensation. Justice prevailed, and I felt like a real winner. Looking at Sebastian's bewildered face and Olivia's tearful one, I suddenly realized that I no longer felt anger or hatred towards them. They got what they deserved and would now pay for their betrayal. And I was free from this burden and could start a new life with a clean slate. Having completed the divorce and division of property, I immersed myself in work. My company began to develop rapidly, freed from the ballast of an unfaithful wife and her lover. I hired talented employees, signed large contracts, and expanded the scope of activities. Things were looking up, and I felt on top of success. Of course, sometimes I was overcome by sad memories of happy times with Olivia, but I tried not to dwell on the past and look forward with optimism. After all, I was still young, full of energy, and now I knew exactly what I wanted from life. Having received multi-million-dollar compensation, I decided to fulfill a long-held dream and go on a trip around the world. I visited dozens of countries, met interesting people, and gained unforgettable impressions. This trip helped me reboot, find peace of mind, and believe in myself anew. Returning home, I continued to develop my business and build a career. I made many new friends and business partners who valued me for my professionalism and reliability. I learned to enjoy the very process of work and communication and not chase after the illusion of family happiness. As for my personal life, I was in no hurry to start a serious relationship. The memories of Olivia's betrayal were too fresh, and I was afraid of being deceived again. But over time, I realized that I could not judge all women by one and needed to give people a chance to prove themselves. Now, several years after those dramatic events, I can say that I emerged from them hardened and matured. I still believe in love and hope to meet a woman with whom I can build a strong family. But now I know for sure that the main things in a relationship are trust, respect, and the ability to forgive. The story with Olivia and Sebastian taught me to value myself, defend my interests, and not be afraid of difficulties. I am grateful to fate for this bitter but useful experience which made me stronger and wiser. And I believe that the best is yet to come for me. So, if you are going through a similar situation now, do not despair. Fight for your rights, believe in yourself, and remember that justice will prevail. And most importantly, do not let anyone break you and deprive you of faith in love and happiness. After all, life is beautiful no matter what.